Before we begin, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy rare treasures, hidden gems, and the stories behind valuable coins, this is the place you want to be. And trust me, you don't want to miss what I'm about to share today. Now, let's go back to a time not too far in the past, but far enough that many might have forgotten. The year was 2004. In the heart of South Africa, a coin was struck, one that would soon become more than just pocket change. A 5 rand coin, designed not only to circulate, but to commemorate. But what many didn't know back then was how that small disc of metal would one day be worth more than most people's monthly income. And in some cases, even more than that. To truly understand why this coin matters, we have to understand what it represents. South Africa in 2004 was celebrating 10 years of democracy, a full decade since the country's first free elections. That moment in 1994 was a turning point in history, and the 2004 5 rand coin was created to mark the anniversary of that triumph. But this wasn't just another commemorative coin. It had meaning. It had presence. It had something that would make collectors around the world stop and take notice. That what's fascinating about this coin is the level of detail that went into it. On one side, the standard coat of arms. But on the reverse side, something much more striking. The image of a man in full stride, beating a traditional African drum. That man wasn't just any man. He symbolized the rhythm, the culture, the spirit of a nation reborn. The coin practically speaks when you hold it. It's not just a coin, it's a message. The sound of that coin dropping on a table, it's heavier, richer. That's because this 5 rand wasn't made like the others. It featured a bimetallic structure, designed not only to look different, but to resist counterfeiting. The inner core is nickel-plated copper, surrounded by a bronze-plated steel ring. It's firm, it's tough, and it's rare in a way most people never realized at the time. And here's where things get interesting. You see, back in 2004, millions of people held this coin without thinking twice. They spent it at local shops, they dropped it in change jars, they gave it to grandkids for snacks. But over time, something changed. As the years passed, collectors started noticing that fewer and fewer of these commemorative coins remained in circulation. Many were damaged, many lost, and only a handful remained in pristine condition. That's when the real value started to build. For men of a certain age, men who remember when coins told stories and meant something more than just currency, this coin hits home. It's a piece of history. It's a token of pride. And now, it's becoming a serious investment. Let me take you deeper into what makes this coin truly valuable. It's not just the design, and it's not just the limited release. It's the condition. Only a select few of these 2004 5 rand coins have survived in near-perfect condition. We're talking uncirculated, crisp edges, no blemishes, no signs of wear. Those are the coins that turn heads at auctions and private sales. And they're not going for hundreds. They're going for thousands. Imagine sitting on your porch, sipping your coffee, and holding in your hand a coin you picked up 20 years ago at a supermarket. Now imagine finding out that same coin is worth more than your last vacation. It sounds unbelievable, but it's happening. Collectors from all over the world are hunting for this specific piece. Dealers are watching every online auction, scanning every private sale. And the value continues to climb. Why? Because scarcity drives desire. And desire drives price. As more collectors lock these coins away in personal safes, fewer are available on the market. That makes every existing piece more valuable. Now, you might be wondering, how do you know if the coin you have is one of the valuable ones? Here's what to look for. First, check the year, 2004. Then look for that iconic image of the drummer on the reverse. Pay close attention to the edges, the shine, the feel. If it looks flawless or nearly flawless, you might be holding a hidden treasure. One that could fetch more than a gold ring or a luxury watch. This isn't just about coins. This is about legacy. It's about owning a small part of history that grows in value, both emotionally and financially. For men who've lived through changing times, shifting currencies, and uncertain markets, owning something solid, something real, has its own kind of comfort. This coin represents that. It's solid. It's real. and it's gaining attention like never before. There's a quiet thrill in discovering value where others see none. And that's exactly what makes the 2004 5 Rand coin so special. It's a sleeper, something once ordinary that's now becoming extraordinary. Oh, here's the part you've been waiting for. Just how much can this coin fetch in today's market? Well, prepare yourself. In recent private sales and collector auctions, a single 2004 South African 5 Rand coin, in uncirculated, mint-grade condition, has been valued at up to $3,600. That's not a typo. 3,600 US dollars for one coin. And remember, this isn't a fantasy number. These are real transactions, real collectors, real value. That's the power of time, rarity, and history combined. So, if you've got a jar of coins sitting in a drawer somewhere, it might be time to take a second look. That old 5 Rand from 2004. It could be a gold mine hiding in plain sight. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Because next time, we're going even deeper into rare coins you've probably handled without ever knowing their worth. This is more than collecting. It's uncovering the past, one coin at a time. Thanks for watching. Before we begin, take a second to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy exploring the hidden stories behind forgotten treasures, rare coins, and powerful moments in history, you won't want to miss what we share here. Now let's talk about something special. Not just a piece of metal, not just another coin, but a symbol of a turning point in a nation's journey. This is the 1994 5 Rand coin from South Africa. At first glance, it may not look like much. Just another coin with a number on it. But behind it is one of the most powerful stories of the 20th century, and a mystery that's captured the attention of collectors around the world. To understand why this coin matters, we need to step back in time. It's 1994. South Africa stands at the edge of history. Decades of struggle, division, and hardship are coming to an end. For the first time, all South Africans have voted in a democratic election. The world watches as Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in prison, walks onto the stage to become president. A moment of transformation, a moment of hope. And in that very same year, the South African Mint releases a special coin, the 5 Rand commemorative. This isn't your everyday coin. It was created to honor the inauguration of President Mandela, the first black president of South Africa, a symbol of peace, unity, and a new beginning. Let's take a closer look at what makes this coin special. On one side, you'll find the national coat of arms, a powerful symbol in itself, representing the heritage and pride of the country. Around it, the name of the nation appears in both English and Afrikaans, a nod to the past and the unity of languages and cultures coming together. But the real story is on the other side. There, engraved with sharp detail, is the image of the Union buildings in Pretoria, the site of Mandela's historic inauguration. Above it, the words Presidential Inauguration, and below, the coin's denomination, 5 Rand. The edges of this coin aren't like others. They alternate between smooth and ridged, giving it a unique feel in the hand. It's made of nickel-plated copper, a material that gives it durability and weight. But what gives it real weight is its story. Now, here's where things get interesting. Over 10 million of these coins were minted for circulation. That's not rare on the surface. But like any great story, the real value hides in the details. There were also a limited number of proof coins made that year. These weren't meant for regular use. They were specially struck with incredible precision, high polish, and sharp detail, reserved for collectors and dignitaries. These proof coins are much rarer, with numbers rumored to be around just 10,000. And that's where the treasure hunt begins. Because while the regular version may pass through hands without notice, the proof versions, especially those preserved in perfect condition, are where collectors start paying serious attention. Condition matters. A coin that's been rattling around in pockets for years, scratched and worn, will fetch little more than its face value. But one that has never been used, uncirculated, untouched by time, that's where the excitement begins. Collectors grade coins on a scale. At the bottom, you've got heavily worn, circulated examples. At the top, mint state and proof coins, often stored in special cases, with every detail perfectly preserved. If you have one of those, especially from a year as significant as 1994, you could be holding something truly rare, but it doesn't stop there. Some coins from that year may also feature subtle minting errors, slight misalignments, off-center strikes, or double images. To the untrained eye, they look like flaws. But to the collector, they're gold, literally and figuratively. These mistakes can send the value of a coin soaring. Now, let's talk about myths that you've probably heard people claim their coin is worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. There are stories online of people selling these coins for enough to buy a car or even a house. But let's be honest, most of those stories are based on hype, not fact. The truth is more grounded. A regular, circulated 5 rand from 1994, even in decent condition, is unlikely to fetch more than a few dollars from a collector. It's a beautiful coin, yes. It's historic, but it's also relatively common, unless it's in extraordinary condition. The proof version, on the other hand, is another story. If you own a proof-grade 5 rand from 1994, especially one that's been officially graded and certified in near-perfect condition, you could be looking at serious money. Some rare, certified examples have sold privately for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. And that brings us to the real heart of this video. What is the actual value of this coin? Let me say this clearly. If you hold a circulated 1994 5 rand, and it shows signs of wear, it might be worth just a little over its face value, maybe a couple of dollars to the right buyer. If your coin is in excellent condition, with very little wear, or better yet, uncirculated, it could be worth significantly more, maybe up to $50 or more, depending on demand. But if you're lucky enough to have one of the proof coins, the ones minted in small numbers, with that mirror finish and sharp detail, and if it's been kept in pristine condition, graded by a professional, you may be holding a piece worth several hundred to even a few $1,000s. Rare proof coins, especially those graded in the highest categories, have reportedly changed hands in private sales and auctions for large sums. Not often, and not always publicly, but enough to keep collectors searching and hoping. So, is this a $1 million coin? Not likely, unless you're talking about the value of its story, the inspiration it carries, and the moment in history it represents. But can it be worth hundreds, or even a few thousand in the right condition? Yes, absolutely. And for the right person, someone who values what it stands for, maybe that's worth more than money. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe. Because every coin has a story. Some are about money, but the best ones are about meaning. Before we dive into this fascinating piece of history, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon, so you never miss a story that brings the past back to life. Just like this one. Now, close your eyes for a moment and picture the year 1965. South Africa was in the midst of intense social and political change. The world felt different. Radios crackled with news that stirred the soul, and coins jingled in the pockets of men who had seen wars, built homes with their bare hands, and carried their nations forward. One of those coins, a small, almost forgotten piece of metal, would go on to become a silent witness to history, and today, it could be worth a fortune. It wasn't made of gold or silver. No, the 1965 5-cent coin from South Africa was modest, just nickel-plated copper. But its value doesn't lie in its materials. It lies in its story, its rarity, and its deep connection to a moment in time that shaped a generation. Hold that coin in your hand, and you're holding more than currency. You're holding 3.24 grams of a country's spirit. A coin only 19.4 millimeters wide, but vast in the journey it's taken through pockets, drawers, collections, and history books. On one side, a humble image, a blue crane, South Africa's national bird, taking flight. A symbol of freedom, grace, and endurance. You can almost see its wings caught mid-motion, representing a nation's struggle to rise above its challenges. It's not just art, it's identity. A national emblem pressed into copper and nickel, meant to last for generations. Turn it over, and you find the inscription, South Africa, South Africa, with the year 1965 split between the two languages. A reminder of the country's dual identity, its cultural layers, and the tensions and unity woven into its past. Above it all, a regal portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch settler who represents both the beginning of European presence and centuries of change to come. But what truly makes this coin special isn't just its design or composition. It's the context. 1965 wasn't just any year. It was a year heavy with transition. South Africa was a young republic, having left the British Commonwealth just a few years earlier in 1961. The nation was redefining itself and every aspect of daily life, from the money people spent to the laws they followed, was under transformation. The 5 cents coin minted in that year was part of that redefining process. It saw everyday use, passed through countless hands, perhaps even your own. It was there in moments quiet and grand, from paydays to pocket change for sweets, from bar counters to church donations. And because it was so common back then, most people didn't think twice about it. That's what makes it so valuable today. So many were spent, lost, worn down, or melted. Only a few survived in pristine condition, locked away in drawers, tins, or in the forgotten corners of old wooden cabinets. The irony is this: the coin everyone ignored, the coin taken for granted, is now one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world of numismatics. Collectors today are scouring estate sales, auctions, and private collections trying to get their hands on it. Not just any version, but that one coin in exceptional, untouched, mint condition. A coin that hasn't been scratched by time. A coin that still gleams with the light of 1965. And here's something that might just knock you off your feet. The highest recorded value for a flawless, museum-grade example of the 1965 South African 5 cents coin? 1 million US dollars. That's right. A coin that once bought a loaf of bread can now buy a house, a luxury car, and still leave you with change to spare. How? Why? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and historical significance. Only a handful of these coins were preserved in perfect condition, and those that survived untouched have become almost mythical in the coin-collecting world. Wealthy collectors, investors, and museums are willing to pay astonishing sums to own one, because they aren't just buying metal, they're buying a legacy. So, take a moment to think. Do you have one of these in a jar, an old wallet, or your father's forgotten box of keepsakes? Maybe it's sitting quietly in your drawer right now, waiting to be rediscovered. If you do, you might be holding a key to something far more than money. You might be holding a chapter of history, and possibly a fortune. This coin is more than currency. It's a connection to a generation that built, struggled, and triumphed. A generation that didn't ask for luxury, but earned every bit of respect. The 1965 5 cents coin is a tribute to that spirit, that grit, that resilience. It's proof that sometimes the smallest things leave the biggest mark. So, if this story struck a chord, if it reminded you of your own journey, your past, or your heritage, don't forget to subscribe and stay with us. Because we're just getting started. There are more stories like this waiting to be told. Stories of coins, people, and moments that shape the world we live in today. And remember, that little coin in your pocket could be worth far more than you ever imagined. It could be worth $1 million.